Begin today the Gemara on the Daf Mem Beis Amud Beis towards the bottom of the Amud, 6 lines up from the bottom of the Amud where it says Rav Papa Amar. Okay, so the Gemara here is explaining the source for what it says in the Mishnah that the Beis HaSkila, the place where you give the punishment of Skila, is going to be far away from the Bezdin. It has to be outside of the city or outside of 3 machnes. When there was the machne L'Shchina, machne Levia, machne Yisrael, it has to be completely outside. So the Gemara before brought a Braisa that brought psukim that you compare from what it says by the Makalal. It says, Hoitzeis HaMakalal, take him out al Mechutz LaMachna. And then it says by the Param Anisrafim, Hoitzeis Kol HaPar al Mechutz LaMachna. So just like there, it means you take out the par to be burnt outside all 3 machnes. The same thing over here, you have to take it out to be burnt, or you have to take out, that is the person that you have to give him the chi of skila, you have to take him outside of all the 3 machnes. Okay, now here the Gemara brings another source from an Amayred, Rav Papa. Rav Papa Amar, Rav Papa says that there's a different source for this. Moshe Heicha Have Yosef. Where was Moshe Rabbeinu sitting when he was by the Yidden? In the Midbar, B'machna Levia. He was sitting in Machna Levia. And what does the Torah tell him when there was the story with this Mekalel and they had to take him out to give him the skila? It says, take him out of the machna. Now, that first pasuk means chutz l'machna levia. Take him outside of the machna where Moshe Rabbeinu is sitting, where the machna of Levia is. Then the pasuk afterwards says, "Vayotzius al-Mekalel al-Mechutz lamachna." They took him out from outside the machna. So it says it a second time. Why does it say again the Vayotzius that they took him out of the machna? That means an additional machna, Chutz l'machna Yisrael. That they have to take him out of even machna Yisrael as well. What the Gemara asks, it's not an extra pasuk. Hi, mi boyle la'asiyah. When it says it here a second time, it's just saying that they fulfilled what they were supposed to do. It's not coming to say another machna. Hashem commanded to take him out, and they did so. By Yitzir, they took him out. So the Gemara says it's actually not necessary for the pasuk to spell this out, because Asiyah behed yiksiva, in that very same pasuk in the beginning, it clearly says that they did what David said, because it says by ubnei Yisrael asu kashetziva Hashem es Moshe. This is actually the conclusion of the pasuk. In the end of the pasuk, it says that the Yidden did exactly as the Eibusha told Moshe Rabbeinu. So why does the pasuk have to spell out these details in the beginning of the pasuk? That Vayetzias HaMakal. It could have just said Vayidaber Moshe Bnei Yisrael, and then Bnei Yisrael also. They did what the Eibusha said. So the fact that it repeats it again, Vayetziu, that's a raya that it's an additional machna that he has to be taken out from the machna Yisrael as well. And therefore, over here also by Skila, you have to take him out of the city completely. So now based on this, the Gemara asks, Elamayato, if you're saying that it could have just simply said B'nai Yisrael Asu, it's not necessary to say any details. So now if so, it says another detail in there in the Pasuk, Vayirgemu Oisei Oven, and they stoned him with a stone. Why does it have to spell out that detail? My of delay. What do you learn out from this? Pasuk shouldn't have added this. It could have just said in general. Answers the Gemara, you need this to teach what it says in a Braisa. It says here, so when it says oisai, why does it say you should stone him? The emphasis here is oisai v'loi b'ksusai, that he is stoned to death, but not wearing his garments. Right? So it's saying that he wants that it should be the most painless death possible. So if he's wearing garments, it may take a longer time until he dies. So therefore, without garments, he's going to die quicker. That's what you learn out from Oisai v'loi b'ksusai. Now, when it says in the pasuk the word even, what is the word even coming to say? It's a singular term, that it's with one stone. So this is also extra. Didn't have to say this. So why is the pasuk saying this here? So what it's telling you is meis be'even achas yotza, that you take a heavy rock and you throw it at him, and if he dies with this one rock, then they're yotza, meaning that this is the skila, and he dies. Now, as Gemara explains, v'itzrich lemichtav even, it had to say here this expression of even, and v'itzrich lemichtav avonim. But then there's another place. This is here we're talking about psukim in Parshas. Where is it in Parshas Emor, where there was the Makalal. And then there's other psukim. This is in Chumash Bamidbar. So there it says Rogoim Oisoi Ba'avonim Kol Eidam B'chutz Lamachna. Here it also speaks about skila, but there it actually says Ba'avonim, which is a plural term. So it says both in the Torah. It says once Even and once Avonim. So why does it say both? If we would say like it says here, just a singular term of Even, that is, that if you throw one rock at him and he doesn't die, so then you can't bring other rocks to complete the misa that he should die. Taisus over here says that means that the first rock that they threw at him got lost. If they have still that same rock, they could use that same rock again. But you would think that you don't use any other rock. So therefore, again, you don't bring other rocks to kill him. So therefore, kasar rachmana avonim. So therefore, the Torah says avonim that even if you need additional rocks, you also use it. Because of rachmana avonim. But if the Torah would say the plural term of avonim, havaminim meikare naisi tarti, that in the beginning you can use not just one big rock to kill him, but you can use many in the beginning. So therefore, kasar rachmana even, the Torah writes even to say that in the beginning you use one rock. And the point of here is that if you use one big rock in the beginning to kill this person, so then it's less of a painful death, because it's much less painful than using many small rocks to kill him. That's why the Torah says the chatchila, it's done with one even. But then, if he doesn't die from this, then afterwards you use avonim as well in the plural term. Okay, so now the Gemara now goes back to the Braise that was brought before on Daf Mem Beis. Again, what we're discussing over here is the fact that you take out this person outside of the city. That's where the Beis Haskila is. Now, before there was a Braise that brought a comparison to what it says by the Param and Esrafim. So the Gemara asks, the Tane in the Braise says that there's a Gzeira Shava, that you learn out the term that it says by the Makalal, Haitzeis HaMakalal, from what it says by the Param and Esrafim, Haitzeis Kol HaPar. So Rav Papa, which was an Amayra, how is he arguing with what it says in the Braise? Rav Papa basically saying, we don't need this Gzeira Shava. We can learn it from what it says by the Makalal itself, from Moshe Rabbeinu, that he was a Machna Levia, and you have the two expressions in the pasuk that you take him out completely. Says the Gemara, the pshat over here is, Ilu loinemar ka'amar. The Braise is saying, if not for the fact that I have the drasha clearly here in the pasuk by the Makalal itself, that he has to be taken out of both machnes, then I have a Gzeira Shava. This is what the Braise is saying. If not for the fact that you have the extra psukim here to say that he's taken out of all machnes, I would have the Gzeira Shava to learn out from Param and Esrafim. But now that, like Rav Papa pointed out, that you have an extra pasuk here itself that says that you have to take him out of the machna, so shenema kra, that is, you have the pasuk Gzeira Shava leitzarech. So the Gzeira Shava that the Braise says is taka not needed anymore. But the Braise was only saying that there is a Gzeira Shava if you wouldn't have the pasuk. Now, so one of the pshatim that Rishonim explain in this Gemara, because in the end of the day it's hard to understand what the Gemara is saying here. A Gzeira Shava is not just someone comes up with these two words that you compare. A Gzeira Shava is Allah Moshe Misinai, that there is a Gzeira Shava. So if you have that Gzeira Shava, so then why is it necessary now to have the psukim here? Or the other way around, if you have the psukim, why is it necessary to have the Gzeira Shava? So some Rishonim say from here's a raya that the concept that we had before in the Gemara a couple of times, that milsa da asir b'kal v'chaymer tarach v'kasav lakra, even something that you can learn from a kal v'chaymer, but the Torah goes and writes it explicitly. Same thing regarding Gzeira Shava, that even though there is a Gzeira Shava for this, but nevertheless the Torah writes it explicitly with the extra psukim here to tell you that when you give the chi of misa, that you have to take him out michutz from all of the machnas. A third source the Gemara brings, Rav Ashi Omar. Rav Ashi says, Moshe heicha hava Yosef. Again, going back to the parsha of this Makalal, that it says in the pasuk that you have to take him out. So let's look at what happened here. Moshe Rabbeinu, where is he sitting? B'machna Levia. He's sitting in the machna of the Levia. The Torah says, Hoitzei es Makalal. So the first part of the pasuk it says, take out the Makalal when you give him the Misa. So that expression itself means chutz l'machna Levia. That means outside the machna Levia where Moshe is sitting. Then the pasuk adds, El michutz lamachna. They don't have to say El michutz lamachna. When you say hoitze, it's understood that it's outside the machna, but it spells it out and it says El michutz lamachna. So that's adding and saying it's not enough out of machna levia. That means chutz lamachna Yisrael, that you have to take him out of the next machna as well, out of machna Yisrael as well. Okay, so now the Gemara explains according to him, when the pasuk that Rav Papa brought before, when it says, when they actually did it, when it says Vayetziu es haMakalal, and they actually took him out, la'asiyah. That is just coming to say that they fulfilled the mitzvah that they got to take him out and to give him the chiyuv misa. But the Gemara asks on this, as the Gemara pointed out before, this is still an extra pasuk. Asiyeh behad yiksiv buhu. The fact that they're fulfilling what the Eibishter asks from them, that the pasuk here clearly says in a more general sense, including everything. It says Ubenei Yisrael also kashasiv Hashem es Moshe. The Yidden did everything. So why is it spelling out when it comes to fulfilling by Yetziu es haMakalal? So the Gemara answers, there's additional details here that are not mufurish in the pasuk, that it wants to let you know that the Yidden fulfill them as well. Hahumi bayale. The extra psukim here, when it says vayitziu es hamekalel, it's coming to say chad l'smicha v'chad l'dechiyah. It's coming to say that the Yidden also fulfilled what it says b'negeya to smicha. This was a unique thing b'negeya to this makalel, where the pasuk over there says that the Bezdin and the Yidden that were all present. The lashon of the pasuk is v'samchu kol hashemim, that all the people should be saimich their hands on this person, and they tell him that you caused this to yourself because of what he did, because he cursed. So that's the smicha. So it says it over there by the command. It says, later on though, it doesn't say clearly that the Yidden did this. So the pasuk over here is spelling out that it refers also to the smicha, and also dechiyah. Dechiyah is something else. Dechiyah refers to, Rashi says, that by the skila, so the person is on the top of a 2-story house or 2-story floor, and he's pushed off from that place. So the chiyah is that Rashi brings the pasuk that it says yara yara, that he has to be pushed off, and that this the chiyah, which it doesn't say over here in the pasuk, it says it actually by Har Sinai, by Matan Torah, it says yara yara, that expression. So it means that he has to be pushed off. So the pasuk here is saying that they fulfill this as well. Okay, that's the reason why the pasuk
say by skila.
Yes, but smicha.
But also says b'chutz l'machna also by skila.
Yeah, Nechanami.
You don't have the whole thing then.
No. Smicha actually says over here. The pasuk says over here about smicha v'samchu. Dechiyah does not actually say over here. It says it in a different place. So therefore, the Torah is adding over here by Yitzius Hamakalo that they did everything that they're supposed to do. One for smicha, which already says over here, and not only that, even the dechiyah that does not say over here, they fulfill that as well. That's why it's saying the extra pasuk of Yitzius Hamakalo.
My question is, how do you know dechiyah?
It's learned that from another place. And but
does it say in that place also
no.
Inyan of smicha?
No, it doesn't. Only by the makal. It's a unique thing over here by the makal. There's Inyan of smicha. Okay. Amr le Rabbanan le Ravashi. So now Rabbanan asked Ravashi, lididach, according to your opinion, kol hani hoitzi dechsivi beparam anisrafim my darshis behu. Every time by the psukim that it says by the param anisrafim, so what did Ravashi just darshan over here? When it says in the pasuk hoitzi samakalal, and then it adds al michutz lamachna, you have to darshan the words hoitzi and mechutz lamachna separately, because once it says hoitzi and then it says mechutz lamachna, the mechutz lamachna is extra. Hoitzi is understood that it's outside of the machna, and that's why how we learned that you see that you have to take them out of all the machnas. So the question is, if that's the case, by all the psukim it also says by the par it says hoitzi is kol par el michutz lamachna. Why does it have to add el michutz lamachna after it says hoitzi? Does it mean that there's another machna to take out? What are you darshan over there? On that, the Gemara says, Kashya. There's no answer to that. Why over there, it doesn't, what's the drush over there from the extra pasuk that it says, El Mechutz Lamachna?
I can say the same thing. Where was it?
No, because over there, the Gemara brought already that there are enough psukim to tell me that it has to be out of all 3 machnas. So we already have psukim to teach me that. So why does it say extra, the 2 expressions of Haitzi and El Mechutz Lamachna? Okay, then going back to what it said in the Mishnah, that what happened is after they took him out to go to get the Chiv Misa, there was someone that was still standing at the entrance of the Bezdin, and he stood with a handkerchief, and then there was a person that was there, a rider on a horse, in case there's a limit chus for this person, so then he motions with the handkerchief that they should come back, or that they should stop. Amar Rav Huna, so Rav Huna said, Pshitali, this halach is obvious to me. Echad even sheniskal ba, the stone that's used to stone him. The echad eitz shenitla bay, or with the person that's hung after he's dead, so then he has to be hung on that day. So the eitz, the wood that's used for this. V'echad sayiv shenerek bay, or the sword that's used for chiv misa as well. Or v'echad suda shenechnak bay, or the handkerchief that's used for the chiv misa of chanike. Kulan mishal tzibur. All of these are who pays for it. It comes from the tzibur, it comes from the congregation. My time, what's the reason for this? The mididei, we're not going to tell him that you have to pay and bring money for this that is going to be used to take away your life. So that's obvious. And then Taisus over says that this is also beneged to the psila that's used by the chiyuv of sreifa, but in this brisa doesn't mention it because of the context of the brisa. We'll see that this brisa is really later on Daf Mem Hey. But now the shaila here is, this that it said in the Mishnah that there is this handkerchief that you wave with it to show that he should come back because there's a limit chus for him. Or v'sus sheratz, that horse and the rider that runs to go and bring him back. Umamidon, and stop him, to bring him back from giving him the chiv misa. Mishalmi, who pays for this? Do I say, given that solid day, since this is in order to save him from the misa, this is something that he has to pay for this. Or do I say, since the Bezdin is obligated to do whatever they can to save this person, as it says, so even this over here that they stand and they see to the last moment to see if they could save him, so mididhu. So this as well is the obligation of the Bezdin and the Tzibur to donate for the Bezdin to be able to have this available. Now, a similar shaila, a person that's going out for chiv mise, what do? They give him to drink this kairat shalavina, which is some kind of drink that will, and then because shal yayin together with wine, in order that he becomes intoxicated and he shouldn't have his mind with him. So it shouldn't be, the death should be quick and not painful. Shanema, the pasuk says, Tnu sheichel oivid, you give beer to drink or wine to drink to one that takes his life, v'yayin l'mari nefesh, and wine for those that are bitter. So you see that this is from here you learn that you have to give him to drink this wine so that his death should be as quick as possible. And the Tanya and the Braisa it says, Nashim Yikarish of Yerushalayim, the rich women in Yerushalayim, they would donate and bring the wine or this kairat shalavina that was necessary to give him to drink. But the shaila is, if there weren't these rich women that would bring this donation to bring this wine, who has to pay for it? So the Gemara says, this definitely we can say, it's logical to say, based on the lashon of the pasuk that we just quoted, mishal tzibur, that it actually has to come from the bezdin, from the people. Kivin d'chsiv tnu, it says tnu, that you should give. That means mididhu, from them, meaning not that this person himself has to pay for this, but it comes from the people, from the bezdin that have to pay for this, and therefore, according to some of Farshim, when the Gemara says this regarding to the wine, it's the same thing also regarding the horse and the flag that they have to have in order to save him to the last moment, that also the tzibur has to pay for this. Another shayla Ravacha Bar Huna asked from Rav Sheshes, Omar echad min talmidim. After you already have the verdict, and now one of the students that was sitting there in front of the bezdin comes and says, Yeshli l'lamad olav schus. I have something to say about this person that is innocent. But then what happened? V'nishtatik. And this person now became a deaf mute. He can't speak and he can't actually say what it is that he saw about this person that is innocent. Mahu. What are we going to say now? Should we say that the bezdin should not go back on the entire verdict, look over the entire case again, and to try to figure out what is it that the student was thinking about? Or maybe since he can't speak, and we don't know what it is that he was thinking, and we have a verdict, so we stick to it. So now, what's the halacha? So the Gemara says, Menapech Rav Sheshes biyodeh. Rav Sheshes made a motion with his hand, like this whole shaila is not a question at all. Nishtatik, you're asking a question if the student that had something to say, but he couldn't actually say it. So then, if so, afila echad b'seif ha'olam. You could always say, maybe there's somebody in the other end of the world that has some kind of limit chus for this person. So there's never an end, even after you have a verdict and no one is speaking up. But maybe there's someone in the end of the world that has something positive to say about this person. But if he's not here, he's not saying it. So then we stick to the verdict. So the same thing is here when this student can't actually speak. But the Gemara says, it's not the same thing. Also, like Omar, you're saying there's someone in the end of the world, but that person didn't say that I have something to say that he's innocent. Here the student actually already expressed, he said, I have something to say that he's innocent, and then he couldn't say anything further. So maybe in this case, we do have to go back and reanalyze the entire dintaya. Tashema, so Gemara says, let's bring a raya, because it says, Rav Yesi bar Chanina said, Echad min ha-talmidim shezika umeis. One of the talmidim that was there in front of the bezdin, and he said something that's innocent about this person, and then after he said what he said, he died. So because he already said his opinion and his idea why he's innocent, so we consider him to be like part of the bezdin. We still count him as someone, and like he's still alive, and like he's still in his place. So that's the way Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina said this, meaning that he died after he already said the reason why he thinks he's innocent. So what do I see? Zika in sounds like from Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina. Only if this student already spoke up, then I say that he becomes like part of the bezdin. But loy zika loy. If he just says, I have something to say, but he couldn't actually say it, so then he does not become part of the bezdin. We're not going to go over the whole verdict. We're not going to go back on the whole verdict and go over the din Torah again. Says the Gemara, it's not necessarily a raya from here. Loy, bachatz loy, it's not a raya from here. Why? Because zika pshitali, in a case where the student actually said that he's innocent, that's obvious, that's clear. Like Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina said this. Omar, however, if he just says, I have something to say about his innocence, but he didn't say it yet, tibayali, that still remains an ibaya. And Rashi explains, the point of here is that maybe Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina didn't bring up this kind of case that we have our ibaya about, when the person became deaf and he couldn't speak up after he said it. The reason why Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina didn't mention is because it's not common for such a thing to happen, but not because in such a case we wouldn't have to go back on the entire verdict. It's just not common, so he didn't speak about this. So therefore, it still could be a shiloh. Not necessarily could you be medayik from the words of Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina that in such a case we're not going to reconsider the whole case. Going back to the Mishnah, it said afilu hu chulu, that even if the person himself that's being taken out to being given the chiyuv miseh, so even if he himself says that I have something to say why I am innocent, they still are going to stop him. 1 time, 2 times, it says in the Mishnah, 4 times, 5 times, as many times as it is, they're going to stop, and according to some, even go back to the bezdin and go over the whole thing again. So the Gemara says, "Vafile pam rishayna ushniya." Does that mean that even the first and the second time? So the Mishnah said that you only take him back if it's something sheyesh mamish b'dvarav. It has to be something of significance of what he's saying. We see that there's some kind of proof to what he's saying. He's not just stam saying, I'm innocent, I'm innocent. Everybody could say that. But it has to be something where it is something that he's saying that it's significant. But the Gemara asks, is that true even the first and second time when this happens? But Vatanya and a Braisa we learned, Pam Rishayno Shniya, the first and second time when this happens, Ben Sheyesh Mamish B'dvarav, Ben She'ein Mamish B'dvarav, Machzira Naisei. Whether his words have proof, whether the words have no proof, we take him back. Only after the second time, Im Yesh Mamish B'dvarav Machzira Naisei, if there's a proof to what he's saying, then we bring him back. Ein Mamish B'dvarav, but if there's no proof to what he's saying, Ein Machzira Naisei, we're not going to bring him back. Rav Papa says that's the pshat of the Mishnah as well. Tirguma mipam shni veilech. When the Mishnah says that there has to be a mamish b'dvarav, that's only after the second time. The Gemara asks in this, Mino Yadi. How do the people that are taking him out to the Chiv Misa know if the proof that he's saying he has is significant or not? Who's taking him out? The executioner that takes him out to give him the Chiv Misa, he's not a Talmud Chacham necessarily. He doesn't know whether what he's saying is true or not. Abaye says that along with the ones that are going with him, from after the second time, you have to have Talmidei Chachamim that are going along in order to be able to see if he's going to want to say he's innocent, if there's going to be a proof to what he's saying. And if there's going to be a mamish in what he's saying, then they bring him back, and if not, they don't bring him back. So why can't they just have a Talmud Chacham which is with him from the first time, and let them see already from the first time if what he's saying has significance or not? Why are we saying that we only analyze this and look after the second time? If it's already the third time, the fourth time, then we have to have a Talmud Chacham to see if what he's saying has proof. Otherwise, we're not going to bring him back. Why should we go through the hassle? The first and second time, you should have a Talmud Chacham to see if this person is stam dereng a cup or he has something significant to say. Says the Gemara, no, the first and second time it's not going to work because Agav the boys, the first and second time, because this person is so afraid, Loi Motzi Omar Kol Madi Islay. He can't express himself properly. So even if you're going to give Talmidei Chacham to go along with him, but nevertheless we're going to give him a chance to come back to the Bezdin to be able to express himself properly. That's the first and second time. But once it comes after already the second time, you can't do this again and again. So at a certain point, we're going to have to say that we're only going to bring him back if there's going to be a proper proof to what he's saying, and therefore then you have to have Talmidei Chachamim to see if what he's saying is significant or not. So if they find as chus for him that he's innocent, patruhu, they let him go. But if not, they take him out to be stoned. And it crows Yetzil. So then again, they make a last-ditch effort to come and save this person's life. They announce in front of him, Ish Pliny ben Pliny, so-and-so, Yetzil is going out to be stoned. Al Sha'avar Aveda Plainis, because he did this and this Aveda. O Pliny Eidov, and so, these two people were the witnesses that testified about this. Why do they make this announcement? That Kol Mishi Yidei Leischus, anybody that knows and merit for him that he's innocent, Yavai v'yalamed olav. Let him come now. This is the last opportunity to come and say that he's innocent. Amar Abaye, so Abaye said about this with Tzorach Lemeimar, and you have to add and say more details so that people should know to come and be Molamed Chus. B'yayim Pliny, that what he did was on this day, Ubishah Plynis, and in this hour, Ubumakam Pliny, and in this location, because Dil Me'ikad Yadiv also Mezimlu. Because maybe there's someone that's going to know what happened at that time, at that location, and he could come and say that the Edom were with him in a different place, and it could be Mazim the Edom. That's the reason for this announcement. Now the Mishnah said, the Kruz Yaitze Lefanov. There's this announcement that goes out before they come and stone him to death. So the Gemara's Medayik, Lefanov in, right before, when they're taking him out to kill him, that's when they make this announcement. But Me'ikare Loi. But before this, they don't make such a kind of announcement. And Rashi here says, what does it mean before this they don't make this announcement? Before this means 40 days before they don't make this kind of announcement. What's this 40 days over here? So here there's a part in the Gemara that is not inside our Gemara. It's in the Hagaz with Tziyunim on the side. Not sure if they have it over here. In this, they don't have it. Over here in this Gemara, they don't have it. But over here, if you look in the Hagaz with Tziyunim and Ois Beis, they have here the part of the Gemara that was taken out by the censors. This is the story about Yeshu, about Isaiah Ish. So let's see, I'm going to read it quickly over here. This part, it's mamish part of the Gemara, because if not, there's no pshat in the Gemara here. So the Gemara here asks on this, but Vahatanya, in a Braisa we learned that Be'erev Pesach Talul Yasha Noitzri, they hung Yasha Noitzri, and Ve'hakruz Yaitzel Lefanav Arba'im Yom, that for 40 days they announced before, could anyone find a reason why he's innocent? And they announced as follows: Yasha Noitzri Yaitzel Lisakal, that they're going to stone him. Ashakishiv Ve'heses V'Yediach Es Yisrael. Kol Mishudei Leschus Yav V'Yalamed Olav, and V'Lemotzel Leschus V'Talu Be'erev Pesach. So you see that they announced this about Yasha Noitzri already 40 days before. So here we're saying the Mishnah only Lefanov, that right before they take him out to stone him.
Doesn't say after the Gemara didn't you have to kill right away? Didn't we learn
Right.
that?
Yeah. Okay. It's a good question. Why it's Inu Yadin? Why? How could it be 40 days? Okay. Let's see. Maybe the answer of the Gemara answers that question as well. So the Gemara answers and says, Omar Ule v'tizbere. Is this a question that's logical? Yesha Netzri Bari Fuchis Chusu B'chlal. This whole thing, B'negei to Yeshu, that you could say that they announced that anyone finds a schus for him. But in his case, you don't even announce this at all. And the reason is because Meisasu, he was convincing others to serve Avodah Zarah. But Echmana Omar, regarding a Meisus, the Pasuk says, no mercy and no cover-ups on him. So there's no reason to announce this at all. Not only not 40 days before, but not at all. Elo, so the answer is, Shana Yesha Noitzri, the Kod of Lamalchasaba, because he was close to the government, so therefore they were afraid to kill him, and then they'll be blamed that they killed him without any proper proof, and therefore they gave it 40 days to announce to see before they killed him. But that's an exception. Now here the Gemara continues and brings about the students of Yeshu. That's the names. Now Asiyua means that again, Asiyua Masoi. They brought his students as well to kill them. So they brought Masoi, Amar Lahu Masoi Yaharek. So he said about himself, Masoi should be killed. But Aksiv, the Pasuk says, Masoi Aveveira Pnei Elikim. That means that he should not be killed. Amrulai in Masai Yaharek, he should be killed. Chsev Masai Yavai Yamos, that is Va'avat Shmai. Then Asiyul Nakai, they brought another student Nakai, Amalu Nakai Yaharek, the Chsev Naki Vitzadik Al Tarek. So it means that Naki, also referring to himself, he should not be killed. Amrulai in Nakai Yaharek, the Chsev Bamistarim Yarek Naki. Then Asiyul Neitzer, Amalu Neitzer Yaharek, Aksev Neitzer Meshirashav Yifre. Amrulai in Neitzer Yaharek, the Chsev Va'ata Eshlachtra Mekivrecha Keneitzer Nisav. Then Asiyul Baini Amaluhu Baini Yaharek Aksev Bni B'chayri Yisrael Amrulai in Baini Yaharek Dechsev Hina Necha Harik Es Bencha B'charecha. Then the final student of Yeshu, they brought him Asiyul Saida Amaluhu Saida Yaharek Aksev Mizmal Saida Amrulai in Saida Yaharek Dechsev Zeveach Saida Yichabdanani. If you shecht and you slaughter Saida, hinting here to the student of Yeshu Yichabdanani, this is the honor of the Eibishter. Okay, that's the conclusion of the Gemara. So it's this last pasuk that I brought about the last student of Yeshu that the Gemara continues and brings here what we darshan from this pasuk. So Amar Rabbi Shua ben Levi. Rabbi Shua ben Levi said, Kol haziveach es yitzray, anybody that slaughters is Yetzahara. And that means that he did tshuva. Right, so we're talking over here, a person that Yetzahara convinced him to do Averis, and he's doing tshuva, and then umizvad olav. Not only he does tshuva, but he also confesses. So olav akasav, ma'il olav akasav, the Torah considers it ki ilu kibdei lakadosh baruch hu b'shnei ha'elamim. He brought honor to the Eibishter in both worlds. So elam hazeh v'elam haba, in this world and in the world to come. The chsiv, as the pasuk says, Zoveach taida yichabdanani, that when you shecht taida, which means that a person is mizvada. Not only Ziveach means he's Ziveach the Yetzer Hara, he's doing tshuva, and Taida, and he's mizvada, Yechabdaneni. There's two nuns over here to say that it's the honor of the Eibishter in this world and in Olam Haba as well. Rabbi Shua ben Levi also said, when the Beis Hamikdash was standing, you bring a carbon oila, schar oila b'yadai. So you have the carbon oila. Mincha, schar mincha b'yadai. So you have just the schar of a carbon mincha. A person that's humble, the Torah considers it as if he brought all karbanis. So now the pasuk says zivchei elikim, that it says zivchei in the plural term that refers all karbanis. That's ruach nishbara. When a person has a broken spirit, meaning he's humble. And not only is humility greater than all karbanis, el she'ein tfilas nemeses. Now, any tefillah, when he davens, Hashem does not turn away from any of his tefillahs. Shanema leiv nishba v'nitke, that if he has a broken and crushed heart, elikim loy sivza. Hashem will not despise, will not turn away from his tefillah. Now, you see that from all the karbanis, what's the concept of all karbanis? To elevate everything back to Hashem, as it explains in Chassidus, the elevation to go back to its source. The bittul of a person is the ultimate elevation when a person is reconnecting to Hashem at the highest level. That's why it includes and it's connected all karbanis. So when they bring him to the Beis Haskila, now when he's only 10 amas away from the place where the skila is, they say to this person that they're going to stone his vada, that he should confess. This is the way of all those that are being put to death. Mizvadin, they have to confess. When one confesses, he has a portion in the world to come. In other words, he couldn't fulfill his shlichus in this world, and he has to his life has to be taken away. But once he confesses, so then he becomes connected to Hashem. He has a full kapara, and he has a chelik lo'olam haba. We find regarding Achen, Yeshua tells him, B'ni, my son, Simna kavod l'Hashem elokei Yisrael v'ten le taida. Give honor to Hashem and give him a taida, which means that he should confess. And then Vayan Achen es Yeshua v'yoyme, and Yeshua, and Achen actually answered Yeshua, and he said, Amna anoichi chatasi v'chazais v'kazais v'goyme, and he confessed and he sinned. Now, minayin shekipeloi v'toyoy. How do we know that when he confessed, this was a kapara for him? Shenav, the pasuk says, Vayoyme Yeshua, ma achartanu. Why did you destroy us? Why did you make matters bad for us? Yachracha Hashem b'yom hazeh. Hashem should make it bad for you over here on this day. So we learn from the words b'yom hazeh ata achor v'yata achor lo'olam haba. Only over here in this world he'll be removed and destroyed, but not in olam haba. Once he confessed, so he got a kapara and he's going to have olam haba. Now the many day is vada is if he doesn't know how to confess, we tell him and more. You just say in general, Tehei misasi kapara al kol avonai, that my death today should be an atonement for all of my avedas. If he can't and doesn't want to or can't specify the aveda that he's being killed for. Rabbi Yehuda says, if this person that's being killed knows for himself, shuhu mizumim, that really the Eidim that testified against him were liars, and he's not guilty. So Aymer, he says, Tehei misasi kapara al kol avonai, my death should be an atonement for all of my sins, chutz me'av zeh, but besides this sin that are being taken out to be killed for, because I know that it's not true. Amrullah, they said to Rabbi Yehuda, if you allow him to confess in this way, in king you call Adam Aymrim king kidei lanakas atzmon. So then anybody that's taken out to death will say this in order to cleanse themselves, and then people are going to say that look, Bezdin is killing someone that was not really guilty. So we don't allow him to confess in this kind of way. So here the Gemara brings what it says, Benigei to Achin, that he confessed for the Aveda that he did. The story of Achin is that there was the city of Yericho that they conquered, and there was the possessions and all the monies that there was from that city, and it was a chedem, meaning that they were supposed to be kept and no one is allowed to touch them. And Achin went and took from these possessions. So Tana Rabbanon, so we don't know Braise, no. It says in the pasuk there that Yeshua told him that B'ni Simna Kavod, that you should please, you should confess. So Eina El Lashon Bakasha, he begged him. What's the reason why he begged him? Because B'shah Shama Kadosh Baruch Hu Yeshua, the Eibusha says to Yeshua, Chata Yisrael, the Yidden have sinned. Because after this Aveda of Achim, what happened was when Yidden came to conquer the city of Ai, the Yidden lost the battle, and there were Yidden that died. And Yeshua was wondering what happened. Why did the Yidden die? And he said it's because there was someone amongst the Yidden that sinned. And Yeshua asked the Eibishter, who is this? Who's the one that sinned? Tell me who is the one that sinned amongst us so we could know to get rid of him. Amalei, so Hashem says to Yeshua, am I going to say Lashon Hara and tell you who it is? Hapil Gedolis, make a lottery, and you'll find out who's the one. Halach Vipel Gedolis, so he made a Gedol, V'nafel Gedol Alachin, and the Gedol fell out that it's Achin, the one that sinned. So Amalei Yeshua, so Yeshua says to him, so now after it fell out on Achin, so now Achin himself said to Yeshua, Amalei Yeshua, you're blaming me and you're pointing fingers to me just based on a Gedol. So if so, Atav Elazar HaKohen, you Yeshua and Elazar HaKohen, Shnei Gedolei Adar, you're the two great people in the generation. Atem, Imani Mapel Alechem Gedolos, if I'll make a Gedol, and I'll just put two names into the Gedol, you and Elazar. The Gedol is going to fall out on one of you, and then I'm going to say that one of you sinned. So I can't trust the Gedol. The fact that it fell out on my name is meaningless. So now Yeshua turns back to him and says, I beg from you, Al Teitzi Laz Ala Gedolis. Do not speak, negative on the Gedolis, and this Gedol that we made about you, or B'chlal and a Gedol. Shasida Eretz Yisrael Shetischalik Begeidel, because we're going to divide the whole land. The whole inheritance is going to be divided for Yidden with a Geidel. And now, if you're showing that a Geidel is worthless, so then Yidden are not going to accept this division. Shenemer, as the pasuk says, Ach Begeidel Yechalik Es Haaretz, that with a Geidel they divided the land. Even though over there was also a Urim V'Tumim, so really they couldn't really be Mitzi Laz in the Geidel the same way. But still, Yeshua asked them not to be Mitzi Laz in the Geidel. 10 Taida, you should go ahead and confess for this. Amar Ravina, so then Ravina said, how did Yeshua get Achen to confess for the Aveda that he did? Shchude shachte b'mili. He was meshachedim. He what? He bribed him with words. How was this? He said to him as follows: Klum nevakesh mimcha eloida. All I ask of you is to be maida, to confess. 10 leit taida, you could confess v'hipoter, and that's it, and you'll be exempt. That's what he told him. Now miyad, immediately, Vayan Achin es Yeshua, Achin Taka responded, and he answered, and he said, Vayomer Amnach, Anoichi Chatasya Lashem Lekei Yisrael. Yes, it's true that I sinned. Ukazais v'chazais asisi. This is what I did. That he is the one that took from all the possessions of the city of Yechinichai that was not supposed to be touched. That's how he confessed, and then later, after he confessed, they actually did not. They gave him a chiyav misa for what he did. Okay, so now the Gemara here darshans. It did. Amar Ravasi, Amar Rav Chanina, so Ravasi says, the name of Rav Chanina, Melamed. Now, when you look at the words of this pasuk, this teaches me, Shamal Achen b'shloisha charam. This is actually not the first time that he went and took from possessions from the war that wasn't supposed to be touched. It's already the third time. Shnayim b'mei Moshe. 2 was in the time of Moshe Rabbeinu. So Rashi brings one time by Moshe Rabbeinu. This was by the Muhammad, by the Kanani Melech Haratz over there. By that Muhammad, he went and took from the possessions as well. And there was another time, which we don't know when it was, but it was also B'mei Moshe, different cities that they conquered that he also took from there. And then Ve'echad B'mei Yeshua, and a third time in the times of Yeshua. Shanema, as it says over here, Kazais v'chazais asisi. So there was another 2 times, even before this time as well. Rabbi Yechanan Mishum Rabbi Elazar, but Rabbi Shimon says that Amar Mishum Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Shimon Chamisha. Actually, this is already the 5th time. Arba B'mei Moshe. There was 4 times that this happened already in the times of Moshe, and Ve'echad B'mei Yeshua, and 1 time in the times of Yeshua. So I think Mefarshim bring it from the Yerushalmi. It says that it was by the Muhammad of Midian, by Sichain, and by Oig, and also by Kanani. So that was 4 times already in the time of Moshe that he already took what he was not supposed to, and then a 5th time now by Yerichai. And we learn this from this pasuk. Shenema Anoichi Chatasi v'chazais asisi. So according to this opinion, we don't only darshan the 2 words kazais, but we also darshan the extra vav that it says by each one of them. So that's another 4 times. So if this is the case, the Gemara asks, "Va'ad hashte, my time eloy yanish." So if so, why is it that up until this point the Yidden were not punished for the aveda that Achin did? Why only after by Yerichai did it happen that by the war, by the battle of Ai, here the Yidden were punished? Because the Yidden were not punished for an Aveda that one Yid amongst them did for something that was hidden, that was unknown to them. Until the Yidden crossed into the Yarden, the Yidden were not punished for an Aveda that one of the Yidden did that was unknown. But over here, though, after the Yidden crossed into Eretz Yisrael, here the Yidden are being punished for an Aveda that Achin did, even though it's Nestaris, even though this is an Aveda that was unknown to them. So the Gemara says about this Ketanoi. This is actually a Machlekes Tanoi. Because the Pasuk says, Hanestaris la Hashem Elokeinu, v'haniglois lanu levaneinu ad olam. So the simple pshat of this pasuk is that when there's a concealed aveda, the Yidden are not punished for this. That's la Hashem Elokeinu. The Eibusha takes care of his punishment, but the rest of the Yidden don't suffer for this. But if it's v'haniglois lanu levaneinu, if it's an open aveda and other Yidden are able to stop them or are able to prevent it, then it's lanu levaneinu. All other Yidden will suffer for this. This is the arvus, the fact that each Yid is a guarantor for another Yid, and therefore you have to see to it that another Yid should not sin. So that's lanu levaneinu ad olam. So now this, the Braisa asks, Lama nokod al lanu levanenu. On the two words of lanu levanenu, there's a dot on each letter of the words. El val ayin sheba'ad. And also on the letter ayin of the word ad, there's also a dot there. So there's in total 11 letters here. 11 dots, that is, on 11 letters. Why is it there? So every time there's dots on a word, it's coming to minimize or take away from those words. So Melamed is coming to teach Shelo Yonashal Anastades Achi Avres Ayard as Yisrael is Ayard that the Yidden are not being punished for an Aveda that's concealed and unknown to them. But that's only until they cross over to the Yarden. But once they cross over to the Yarden, they will be punished even for an Aveda which is Nestades. Once Yidden come into Eretz Yisrael, the responsibility of one Yid to another is greater. The Rebbe brings in a Sikha that the whole concept of Yidden being a tzibur, the kayach of Yidden being a tzibur is in Eretz Yisrael more than a chutz la'aretz. So then the arvus of Yidden becomes stronger even for something which is nistaris. Right? And David Rabbi Yehuda, this is what Rabbi Yehuda says. And Taisus over here says that there's 11 dots. The 11 dots really goes on the words Lashem Elokeinu, because Lashem Elokeinu is 11 letters. So it's as if the pasuk says Hanistaris v'haniglois lanu levaneinu ad olam. You take out the words Lashem Elokeinu and you read it together, that both the Nistaris and the Niglois are lanu levaneinu ad olam. Right? But the Torah wrote Lashem Elokeinu and then wrote the dot, so you should understand that before they went into Eretz Yisrael, it was Lashem Elokeinu. Once they came into Eretz Yisrael, then it became the responsibility of all Yidden. That's Rabbi Yehuda. So that's like we said before, that the Aveda of Achen, which was concealed after they came into Eretz Yisrael, all Yidden suffered from this. But Rab Nechemia argues and he said, are Yidden going to be punished for something that's concealed from them, that's unknown to them? Does this ever change? The pasuk concludes and says ad olam, that forever this is the status. That if it's nestaris, it's Lashem Elokeinu. And that's what the ad olam is going on. It's not going on the niglois. On the niglois, it's obvious that Yidden will always have a responsibility for an aveda that another Yid does, and you know about it. When it says ad olam, it's coming to say that the nestaris is also ad olam, that Yidden don't suffer for this. Elo, so therefore rather what we say is Kishem Shaloi Anashal Nestaris, Kach Lo Anashal Insha Begoloi, Ad Sha'avri Yisrael Lesayarden. The pasuk over here is saying that Bichlal, the arvus of Yidden, this that they're being punished for what another Yid does, it's only when they cross into the Yarden. Just like that's true Shem Shaloi Anashal Nestaris. So by the Nestaris, the Yidden are never punished for another Yid, but when you get to the Insha Begoloi, only when the Yidden went into the Yarden, that's when the responsibility of one Yid for another is when you get to an Aveda that's known to them. Okay, so according to this opinion, the Gemara says, Ela Achen, my time e anish. If so, Achen, why were Yidden punished for the Aveda that Achen did if this was an Nistaris? And Yidden didn't know about this. According to Rab Nechemia, they shouldn't have been punished. Answers the Gemara, because what he did was not unknown to nobody. It was known to his wife and to his children. And if his wife and his children knew about it, so the Mefarshim say, the Gemara says by Lashon Hara, if 3 people know about something, it's public knowledge. So over here, if his wife and children knew about it, it wasn't the status. Everybody knew about it, and therefore the Yidden did suffer from the Aveda that he did.